A good Voch Westside. Leilu Nishmas Chaim Oren. We're going to start the shir on a happy note. So here we have a picture of some of the guys that flew into the Chicago Siyum. I believe it was over 25 people. I recognize that some of the people that flew in didn't make it into this picture. So here's some of the guys that flew in. Shkar to all those who flew in. And believe it or not, the place was set up for 170 people. Every single seat was taken, basically, almost the entire evening. So that means there was a lot more than 170 because people coming in and out. So let's call it 200. Unbelievable. Maimed for Chicago. Yishkar to everybody in Chicago that came, to all the people from out of the city. Be'ezer Hashem. It should grow and should grow here in Chicago. And all the tzaddikim nestorim who don't come out to the siyumim, they should be happy to come and proud to come. Rav Oisai, I want to take a break for a second. You know what? Let me show you the other siyumim that we had. Here we go. So this is Molandi. He recruited about 15 people to join the Daf. Here are 6 of the 15. And the reason why I'm putting it here, I'll tell you in a second. These Gemaras were donated by basically one individual, and I'll talk about him in a second. Here's an email. I was leading a tour of the Muslim quarter today, and I stopped into the rebuilt ybl'c shul. This is the shul in the Muslim quarter that is open and in use. At the entrance is a security detail. One of them is providing a double shmir, one physically and one spiritually. See the picture of the security guard learning with the rebelli. This picture was taken on Friday during the massive Ramadan prayers. I recognize this individual very, very well. He comes very often to Ramat Bet Shemesh. His name is Baruch Foreman. Baruch is learning on the job. This, Rav Oisai, is the Siyum in Brooklyn. So they said over 50 people attended that. And let's see if we can get some audio here. It might be difficult with what you said that it was muted. Let's see. No?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Attached pictures of the London Siyum this evening. 150 people were Messiah and danced be'achdus. It was an amazing event. Ari Davis. 150 people in London. And Ari Blau says from Toronto, attached to some pictures from the MDY Toronto Siyum, we had an amazing event with a fantastic little shishi buffet, including poppers, the meat boards, shalom kugel. There were over 100 people who joined in from across the city and many first-comers. And of course, we had great wine and haircuts. So I really liked the advertisement in Toronto. They said it's wine and haircuts for Nazir. It's all about wine and haircuts. So I thought they were joking. Of course, we had great wine and haircuts. The best part was getting Rafal the barber to join the Daf. See attached picture of Mayor handing Rafal's Gemara. I don't know if I got it or not. We also raffled off customized bottles of wine with MDY logo in honor of Nazir. Thank you for inspiring us and leading this amazing Torah movement, Ari Blau. Here's the Olam in Toronto. Here is the etched bottle of wine. So you have wine for Nazir. Rabbi Isai, believe it or not, haircuts at the Siyum. Unbelievable. So I want to talk for a second about something very, very moving. You see, the last couple of Masechtas was sponsored mainly by a 39-year-old young guy, individual guy, anonymous. And if you have a Gemara art scroll, please open up to the first page, to the cover page. The top thing it says, may the Torah learning being learned for this Masechta be a schus hagefen, which stands for Hatzlacha, gesund, parnas anachas, for my wife, children, and entire extended family. Thank you for your support and encouraging me to learn the Daf with Reb Eli and MDY in appreciation of a proud husband and father who's thanking his wife for pushing him to learn the Daf. In the last few months, we had a little bit of a problem. We were going to discontinue this program of giving out free Gemaras. The prices went up from Art Scroll, and we said, you know what, we'll try other things. And this individual, 39 years old, stepped in. And over the last 2 or 3 months, he gave over $40,000 towards this program. And many people that are learning now, who finished Nazir, and I'm starting Sotah that's in his schos. And he's anonymous. Not some anonymous. I didn't really get to speak to him ever. I spoke to him once or twice. He came to see him in Miami. And Yossi Klein, who deals with him on a daily basis, doesn't even know what he looks like. But today, I have to tell you what his name is. His name is Menachem Toporovitz. And Menachem Toporovitz was nifter yesterday at the young age of 39. His labaya was today. He's a guy from Monsey. And mamish, I cried today like crazy. Such a young guy. We lost 2 chaverim this week, 2. And he told Yossi Klein many times, he says, this is the only way that I know how to be a mekayir for people to Torah, and that's what I want to have a schusim. I'm thinking to myself, 2.5 months before his p'tira, he got a chizuk to give and to encourage people to learn Torah. And when was he nifter? On the final day of Nazir, the first day of Sotah. Sorry. 39 years old. 39 years old, a heart attack. Rabbi, we have to chaper Aryeh, learn more Torah, do more chesed. Because Baruch Hu gave him the schus to come up with this idea, to do it. And I just got a message literally right before I was coming here. One of the chaverim from the shir said, I know that he owes a little money, he pledged more. I don't want him to go to the family. I don't want the family to know about this. I'm giving every dime that he pledged, that his neshama shouldn't have any tsar. It's unbelievable. With a 39-year-old, over $40,000 he already gave. It's unbelievable. We have to take a chizuk from this. We don't know. Nobody knows how long they live. And when we're here, we have to just chap Aryeh. Rabbi said, just chap Aryeh. The neshama should have an aliyah. The koilel is sponsored by anonymous from Lakewood. He's mamish anonymous. He didn't speak to me. He didn't want anything in return. Yossi Klein, who spoke to him every single day. I asked Yossi, do you know this guy? Is he the guy that donated the Gemara? He says, let me see a picture. I showed him a picture of him last night. He says, no, I don't think it's him. He never saw it. And they live in Monsey. He gave him the checks, and it's such simcha and such. The koil is sponsored by Reuven Klein in honor of my daughter Aliza becoming a kalat at Tzvi Chaim Nedo from Toronto. The Masechta, we don't have a sponsor with himself. The Parnas HaChodesh, Leilu Nishmas Chaim Elefant. Chaim, I can't. A lot of tears this week for Avi. Okay. Leilu Nishmas Chaim Elefant, Chaim ben Ya'akov Shmuel by his Westside friends. Leilu Nishmas Zakharya ben Mashe. The MDY Family, Nishmas Chaim Oren ben Eliyahu Chaim Oren. You know, when you have such a large mishpacha, 20,000 people, there's gonna be, you know, things like this, and we have to learn how to deal with it. But it's unbelievable. 39 years old. Vladislav Zakharov in the schus that I graduated this May. And Parnas Hayoim, David Hendler, with gratitude to Hashem for the health of my daughter. Adah Malka Chaviva. Sorry for bringing you guys down. Sorry for not holding it together. Westside, we have a Geshmak Daf today. Sotah Daf Gimel. So I have a question. We'll see you on Amud Beis. Is there ever a time when it's a mitzvah to grab a Jew and work him like a slave? We know that Yidden could be Eved Ivri, but they have different halachas. They're not like, you can't treat them like an Eved Kanani. You can't just work them without telling them how many hours. You can't just work them unlimited and work them for work that has no purpose. But sometimes you can. And we're going to see on Amud Beis an amazing Tosfos. Says the Gemara, we're holding 4 lines down. Yesterday was like one of the worst Amud Beis of all time, and there was technical problems with the recording. Hopefully today it's better. It's always when we're on the road and we don't have the in-house equipment, we're not in the Bismarck, things go wrong. So I hope everybody forgives, and hopefully we can do better. Tanya, there's a little bit of Adah. We have a mix today. A little bit of Adah. And as many Masechtas start, you have to know the basics, where it comes in the pasuk. So that's why a lot of Masechtas start with psukim and drushes. But I'm telling you, trust me, it's going to be smooth sailing. So we're even starting out with a little bit of a gata. A person is over an avera. Like this woman, she's nistar, she goes into seclusion, she doesn't have avera. And you think you get away with it. There was a story in Eretz Yisrael, I remember a couple of years ago. There were a bunch of Bachrim, I'm not going to say what kind of Bachrim, but really, really from Bachrim. They went down, they drove to Eilat, they took a taxi to Eilat, and they told the driver to drop them off at a place that they shouldn't be going to, and they disappeared. They ran in there and they disappeared. They thought they'll get away from the taxi ride, they won't have to pay. And obviously they didn't want to be known that they went to this terrible place. Guys, yeshiva guys. Taxi driver didn't like it, he called the cops went in, they caught these guys. And what happened was the entire Eretz Yisrael found out that these guys, with the names in the newspapers, they went to XYZ and they did this and they tried to rip off at that. The biggest bizyonis in the world. A person thinks that he's going to do an avera, he's going to go someplace and nobody will know about it, and then he'll do this and this and that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes it known on purpose. You should get the bizarre. How do we know? It says by us, Shenemar v'ovar olav ruach kino. This husband, he decided he had this ruach, a spirit, something got into him, and he was jealous. What does that v'ovar mean? Ve'inavera loshen hachroza. It's announced to the world. Shenemar v'itzav Moshe ve'yaviru kol b'machana. Listen to this. A person doesn't sin, some sort of shtus overcame him. He's almost not in control. Ask the Bnei Yisachar, if he's not in control, it's a shtus. Why should he get a einish? He says, you're right. The einish is for thinking about it and bringing himself to that matzav. Once he did it, he's already a shoyt in that moment. But the avera is for bringing yourself all the way there. Shenemar ish ki sista ishtoi tishotek. It says in the Torah, sin, tista, she's going to veer off and be mizana. It's a lashon shtus, and like I said, even though it's called Sotah with a samach, and everybody, all the halachas, the Shulchan Aruch, it's all hilchas Sotah. The Rambam calls it hilchas Sotah. It's with a shin. Obviously, it's based on tista, Sotah. But to show, I think, that it comes from shtus. There's an interesting story in the Medrash about the Sotah. The Medrash tells us that it's in Medrash Rabbah Parsha Tes. It says that a woman was mizana, and her husband suspected her. And he said, he did the whole kinui, stira thing. He said, let's go to the Beis Hamikdash, let's find out if you're Zayim. She was in big trouble. She knew she didn't want to explore. So she called up her sister, she ran to her sister, and she said, I don't know if they were twins or they looked very similar. She said, listen, you got to fill in for me. Like a good identical twin, no problem. She dressed in her clothing, says the Medrash, and she went down to the Beis Hamikdash. Guess what happened? You're wrong. That's not what happened. She passed the test with flying colors because she wasn't mizana. They said, this, Inoki. She drank the water, nothing. She came home, and her sister saw her, and her sister came running out, wow, and they hugged and they kissed. And as soon as she kissed her, she smelled the mayim hamorim, and she died on the spot. This is up to men. So this is the waters of the Sotah, they're very powerful. There's a story about the Chidah that a lot of people talk about, that there was a Maisa Shahaya of a Sotah Bizman Hazek, in the time of the Chidah, that he was chayshid a woman, and in front of everybody he said the psukim, and she died. Okay. Tana very Rishmo. Now we're going back a little bit to the situation of the aid. I don't know if there's a tissue around there. I might need one just from the tears. They're not really in those things. Tears. Tana very Rishmo. So we're talking about step 3, right? We said there's 3 steps. First, he's mekana. He tells her, do not seclude yourself. Then he catches her secluding herself. Step 3 is when an aid, nothing to do with the parsha of Sotah, but if somebody sees her being mizana, that even one aid is enough to say that she's asur to her husband forever. Thank you. Okay, sorry. So why does the Torah believe one aid? Throughout the Torah, you can't. One aid is not enough to say you owe me $25. One aid is not enough to say that this is not. So why do we believe one aid? To answer a woman on her husband like that? No ksuba in this case. Says it's maminus. Usually you need to wait. Says the Gemara because in fact there's good reason to believe that she was mizana. Sharei kinala vinistera. Because he went through the process of kinui and stira. And after he did kinui, he warned her, don't seclude yourself. And she secluded herself. And then somebody says, hey, not only did she seclude her, but I looked through the window, I saw them being over in Avera. That's it, it's all over. So, these are the psukim right over here. Pasuk number 1 says, V'nistera v'hi nitma. You see, I put a 1 on the top. It goes in order. Parakeh, Pasuk Yud Gimel, and Bamidbar. V'nistera, first came stira. Then v'hi nitma. She was over in Avera. V'edein bo, we said, V'avar alorach ruach kina v'kinis ishtoi v'nitma. That comes all the way at the end. It's afterwards. When it says in this pasuk, in the second pasuk afterwards, in pasuk Yidal, v'avar means that it happened before pasuk Yud Gimel. V'avar means in the past. It happened already. V'avar means in the past. So the word v'avar, says the Gemara, means that it happened a while ago. The famous Bnei Gad Bnei Reuben. Bnei Gad Bnei Reuben didn't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. So they made a deal with Moshe Rabbeinu. They said, we like the pasture over here. We have a lot of animals. We need more grass. We don't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. Right? It's a taina on the, how could that be? So Moshe Rabbeinu made a deal with them. He said, if you go to war with us and we'll win, then you'll go back. And if you go back, not this part. You go back. But over there, v'avar lochem kol chalos. V'avar l'chayr is talking about the future. You will go to war, and then v'avar, and you'll win, and we'll win, and then you come back in there. But that's in the future, not talking about a story that happened already. Over here we're saying that v'avar means it happened already. Also, it says, and afterwards you'll come back. So it's impossible to say that the word v'avar means in the past. V'avar obviously means in the future, because it says teshuvu, you'll go back. But over here, the word v'avar has to mean that it already happened. If it's like in the way the psukim are set up, it's not going to work. Why? V'avar basa tuma v'stira. What? The guy decided to wake up and warn his wife not to seclude herself with so and so after she was already over in Avera. It makes no sense. Kinui lamali. Why does he have to warn her? So obviously it means v'avar, the kinui happened way before, 2 months ago. The pasuk happens to be afterwards, but it means v'avar in the past. So in other words, the word v'avar could go both ways depending on the sugya. Ein odam mekana li'ishtoi elam kei nichnas eloi by ruach. When I was reading this Gemara, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Menachem Toporovich. This guy, what happened? One day he wakes up, he says, I have to warn my wife. She can't seclude herself. The Gemara says it's not that he saw something. A ruach went into him. There's a ruach memaroim, says Rashi. A heavenly thought went into his mind and said, hey, do something. My ruach, a bad thought went into it. It was from Shemayim, but it was a really bad thing. He's a bad guy. Came a bad thought into his head. No, Hashem is trying to save him, and it's a pure ruach. So we have over here a guy. I'm serious, Rabbi. I'm not just saying this. A guy all of a sudden in this oyer, I have to get more people to learn Torah. He got chavrusas. I'm going to start donating money, big money, so that more people should learn. What happened to him? What? Where was he a year ago? He's part of the shir a year and a half. 2 months before his ptira, he starts pumping money in. It's a ruach. It's a ruach memar. I'm not joking. How much I know now that he goes up to Shemayim and they say, look at all these people. 700 people join Masechta Sotah because Menachem Toporovich. 700 people. Ruach Memarim. All of a sudden, a thought goes into the guy's head. Nobody knows why and how. There's a million other things. He decided this is it. And it makes more sense that it's a ruach, a special spirit of tahara, of kedusha, not of tumah. So now this is going to swing us into a brand new sugya of Rishus and Chayva. Is this idea, like we mentioned even yesterday, hamekana, that a man warns his wife not to seclude, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Should he? Is he mechuyev to? He's allowed to? What's going on here? So that's the sugya now. V'kinas ishtar Rishus the Rabbi Shmuel holds that if he wants to, he could. He doesn't have to. And you see over here, there's 3 things that we're going to be discussing today. These 3 parashas. Kinoi, is it a Rishus of Chayva? That a kohen could go to his father's funeral. Is he mechuyev to? Or if he wants to, he could. Here's Steve, you're a kohen, right? You're mechuyev to go to your sister's funeral? Or you're allowed to? And also this idea of Leilu Nishmas that you have a non-Jewish slave. Are you mechuyev to work him to his very last day? Or you're allowed to work him to the very last day? Only 3 halachas in the Torah do we have the question. In other words, when the Torah says you should wear tefillin, it's not, do you have to or you could? Everybody knows you have to. Tzitzis, you have to. There's 3 things in the Torah tells us to do. We're not sure. Do you have to or that you could? Basically, all 3 are the same idea. We have extra pasuk. And Rabbi Akiva says, since the Torah tells it to us twice, it means you must work your slave to his last day. You must go to the funerals of your Kroivim. You must do kinui. Rabbi Shmuel says, no. The reason why I have to psukim in all 3 cases is because it tells us a special chiddush. It's not to tell us that you have to. Okay, let's see inside. Says the Gemara, if you're telling me that HaKadosh Baruch Hu threw in the right machshava, great. Eliyahu is ruach tumah. It's a bad thing. We have a machloikis whether you mechuyev to have a bad thought and do bad things. Whether you're permitted, whether you're mechuyev. In fact, you're mechuyev to put good thoughts in your brain, not bad thoughts. Says Gemara Gufa. Now let's go into these 3 sugyas. That Rabbi Shmuel holds that it's okay if you want to warn your wife. And Rabbi Akiva says not okay, you mechuyev to. Lo yitama rishus. That a kohen is metamet to his mishpacha, it's not obligatory. Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva mechuyev, no, he's mechuyev to. Lo yilmem ta'avodu rishus. The Rabbi Shmuel, no, you're not allowed to free your slave. So, okay. Maybe the mechulik in the entire Torah. The Maram Rishos, Maram Chayva, doesn't make any sense. In other words, what happened over here? That in these 3 things, they're arguing whether it's permissible or mechuyev. Maybe tefillin also, they have the same machlokes. We have machlokes in the psul. Now, fascinating taisvus. According to Rabbi Akiva, that says that it's a chayva. How many mitzvahs do we have? Everybody knows. 613. According to Rabbi Akiva, how many do we have? 616. Or maybe according to Rabbi Shmuel, we start at 613 and we take off these 3. So he has 610. What's going on here? We have a machlokes with 3 mitzvahs in the Torah, the chiyuv and not a chiyuv. It's a big problem, says Taisvus. We know 613 because one mandam says 613. Maybe Rabbi Akiva holds 616. Or maybe, and that would be the obvious Torah, says you have to cut off a couple mitzvahs here and there and make these mitzvahs fit in according to Rabbi Akiva. Okay. Just, if anybody's interested, there's a big Taisus here that talks about it. Kinis Ishta. Rishos, Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Chaviva, this kinoi in Sotah is a machlokes whether you have to or you could. My time, Rabbi Shmuel, what's the machlokes? So like Aitano, the sign of Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer. Klav Yishom Torah, Leisisnas Achicha B'Vavecha. The Torah says you shouldn't hate your friend. You're not allowed to hate your wife. You're not allowed to start off with her. You're not allowed to make a machlokes with her. So Yachid going to. Now, very important. The Rambam paskins. You're not allowed to hate your friend in your heart. Says the Rambam, and this is very accepted, that the Isser is in your heart. If somebody wronged you, you go over to them and say, hey, you wronged me. I don't appreciate when you talk to me like this and like that, and you did this and this and this to me. The Isser is when you don't tell him. Bilvavecha. So you have to understand how this fits in over here, because over here the husband said straight out, hey, don't seclude yourself. My Chavrusa's father, my Rebbe's father, Rabbi Didi Kramer's father, told me that there was a story, there was a guy who had a big injury on his face. So somebody asked him, what happened? He says, what happened? Reuben smacked me. Like this, he went like this. So he said, okay, he went like this, but why is your face like half missing? He said, because a lot of people ask me what happened, and every time they ask me, I show them. I go like this. So he says, when a person wrongs you, and you hold it in your heart, all you're doing is hurting yourself. Every time you think about it, you cause yourself more injury. It was a little injury, but you just keep on thinking about it. You add injury on injury until your face is half missing. So the idea is, Rabbi say, if somebody wronged you, talk it over with him, or be mindful and move on. A Mashe Sheine with me, I'll just share with me. A couple of years ago, somebody did something really wrong to me. From a guy did something really bad. A lot of money, this, that. And every time I sat down to prepare shir, I was preparing shir. And this guy would appear on my Gemara, like between the lines. I couldn't learn, I couldn't concentrate. Here he is. I want to destroy him. And against all my family's wishes and everything, I could have taken him to court and sued him and won easily. I said, that's it, I'm done with him. I'm done. I have nothing to do with that guy, no tinus now, nothing. Does he owe me the money? Yes, it has nothing to do with me now. I'm not thinking about him, I'm not suing him, nothing. I'm done. And the relief, my entire life changed, everything. It was a tkufa of 2 weeks that I couldn't concentrate. How could a guy do this to another from person? It's unbelievable. Here he is again. Get out of here. I can't, nothing. I couldn't concentrate. But once I made that decision that he's gone, he was gone. I helped myself, not him. Okay. Maybe in this case also, with this wife, he should be a big tzaddik and not say anything. Says Rabbi Shmuel, no, don't be a big tzaddik. You're not mechuyev to. Rabbi Shmuel holds you're permitted because in this case she's being over an avera. You have to know when to say something. If your wife she didn't put the dishes away, then be a big tzaddik. Don't say anything. But you see that she's being over gimel chamuris. You have rishus to warn her and prevent it. Rabbi Kiva kinu achrin eksiv, but in the same pasuk. Oh, I forgot to show this, but we can show it now. It doesn't matter. These are the 7 krivim that a kohen is mechuyev to, or could. That's machlokes could or mechuyev to become tamid to a father, mother, wife, son, daughter, brother, and a sister in certain circumstances when she's not married. So if you look at the pasuk over here, I know it's in small, but in pasuk Gidal it says ruach kina v'kinei. I just highlighted in red. It says the word v'kinei twice. Why the double lashon? We could have gotten away in the same pasuk without saying the word v'kinei twice. To teach us the chiyuv. He's mechoyev. He knows that his wife is up to no good. Warn her. If that doesn't work, bring her to Bezdin. Bring her to the Beis Hamikdash. Rishmal, I did the boy the michtav vinitma. You have to say v'kinei sishta vinitma. And you also have to say in the end of the pasuk, vihi, here, I did it. You know what? Sorry, I don't know what I just did. This one. You see how I highlighted in green? The two, vihi, one it says vihi nitma, and one says vihi loy nitma. So each vikine goes, it's a new, yes, one long pasuk, but it's two different cases. One is that she became Tamei, she was over this, and one is that she wasn't over this. And for each one, you have to say the story. He was Mekana. He told her, don't do it. Anytime you see a double lashon, since there's a chiddush in this passage, what's the chiddush? That if a woman, you don't know for sure that she was over in Aveira, the whole parsha of Sotah is a big chiddush. I could make her usher just on a suffix. Okay, so then the Torah repeated it twice. La itama rishos. So going back to this list, that a kohen could be metamet to 7 relatives. Rabbi Shmuel says that it's not an obligatory, it's rishos. What's the nafkamina? What if he's in the middle of burying his sister, let's say, his brother, and he finds out that he has to put on tefillin? But if it's only rishos, stop what you're doing. Don't do something that you don't have to do. Do the thing you have to do, which is tefillin. Or no, he's a kohen, he's mechuyev to bury his sister, says Taisus. By the time of Shmuel, what's the machlokes here? It says already, a kohen cannot be tamei to anybody. So Torah has to say, but to your sister, yes. Sister means everybody. Hold the 7 quick. At the end of the day, it says in the pasuk ki'im l'sheiroi, and then at the end it says lo yitam. You see how I did it? Pasuk Beis and pasuk Gimel. Ki'im l'sheiroi means you can only be metama. It says in the pasuk so it tells you to be metama, and also says lo yitama, be metama. So basically, there's 2 psukim that say he should be tamei to a relative. And that's what we're going to be dealing with here. Again, the same story that Rabbi Kiva said before. Since it says it twice, that makes it what? A chayiv. You have to do it. So Rabbi Shmuel is going to have to come up with the reason why it says it twice. Where does it say it twice? Ki in l'sheiroi should be tamei, and all the way at the end, lo yitama, become tamei to her. Rabbi Kiva lo yitama lo. So then why does it say it twice? L'chayiva, because it says it twice. The extra time is to teach us that you mechuyev to. Rabbi Shmuel. Law metama, be metama levarel. No, I need the second pasuk. If I need the second pasuk, then I don't have anything extra to teach us that it's obligatory. That's a chayv. What does it mean levarel? If a person loses the lim loyalenu while they're alive, that's called what? Aver minachai. It has tuma like a regular dead body. But a kohen, you hear Steve, you're a kohen. You have to know these halachas. A kohen is not permitted to be metama to a living limb. So they'll do a funeral, whatever, not a real funeral. They'll bury it. The kohen should not bury it, even though it's his own brother or sister. Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Hatzlacha of Aryeh ben Aliza Simcha Sheine Mashe and Aliza Simcha Sheine Mashe bad Bracha and Hatzlacha for the Magid Shir, the members of the HBA Group and their families of Maine. I know that Be'ezer Hashem, MDY is going to do something very special for Menachem Talpiravish, so we have to do some sort of project, something for him. It's unbelievable chesed. We have a lot of Akaras to type them. Okay, Rabbi Kiva Mkein Lichter Rachmana La Lishtoik Gitma Lamali. This is interesting. I can't say I understand that 100%, but I guess there's a way to write it. You don't have to say the word Yitama because we're already talking about Tuma. To me, it doesn't sound so great now, but okay, the Gemara understands that the word Yitma is extra, and therefore it teaches us that it's a chayiv. Shema Mina. Rabbi Shmuel, I'd La, because of Yitma. Yeah, it fits right in. You have to just, it should sound good. It should be written well, so it says the word Yitam. The Gemara says a little different, that yes, it might be extra, but since there's a chiddush here in the pasuk, so we're able to repeat words even though they're not necessary. What about the next sugya? You buy a slave, you work him till his very last day. You shouldn't free him. But Rabbi Shmuel says, Rishos. Rabbi Shmuel. You don't have to work him. My time there is small. So, very interesting halacha. When Klal Yisrael went into Israel, they had a tzivui from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to kill every single person from Canaan, all the 7 nations. But you should know that tzivui doesn't exist today. Already in time of Yeshua, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, that's it. Tzivui is over. Yeah, don't kill them. But it says in the Torah, you should kill them. So now, how are you buying a slave? Who's the slave exactly? If he's a Canaanite, the mother and the father are Canaanim, what should you do to him? Chop off his head. You can't work him. Oh, I'll work you instead of killing you. It doesn't work. You have to kill him. But what if the father is a Canaanite, the mother is Italian? What's the halacha? Kill him. What if the mother is a Canaanist and the father is Italian? Let him live. It goes by the father. So if you have a mother, a Canaanist, the father is Italian, you can buy him as a slave. Let's see inside. If the mother is a Canaanist, fine. This is a puzzle. What if the father is a Canaanite? Basically, Rashi explains that women typically, especially Canaanists, the women stay in their, like a lot of us here in Chicago, we migrated to Chicago because of the women. It usually goes like the women like to stay in the city that they were born. Yeah, but I said this a number of times. You have a lot of New Yorkers that are very verbissen here in Chicago. No? They always go, yes, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. I mean, after a while, they get used to it. Or they pretend they're used to it. So it's very normal to follow your wife to the place that she's from. Great. Sometimes another place, right, she says the opposite. Okay. So, according to Rabbi Kiva, we have the extra words. The extra words teach us what? If you buy a slave, you can't just free him, you have to work him to the very last day. Shmuel says that the bohem is not extra. So it's the same svar every time. Rabbi Kiva says I have an extra word here. Rabbi Shmuel says it's not extra because I use it for a chiddush. What's the chiddush? That you're not permitted to take a Jewish slave. There is such a thing called a Jewish slave. But you can't treat him the same way as the Evet Canaan. Why? Because he's your brother, and just to work him because he's a slave and say go around in a circle and build the pyramids, you can't do that. It has to be work that has a tachlis and a tayelis. You have to tell him, work here for 3 hours, work here for 5 hours, work here until 8 o'clock. You can't just say work without telling him. There's certain halachas that you can't do with a Jew. Says Tosfos, amazing. If you see a guy who's not behaving well, a Jew who's doing the wrong thing, grab him and work him. Chop him as a eved, whatever, however you have to do it, pay him to be eved, and then you work him without any reason. Work him around the clock. Why? Because he's a no good nick. So going back to the question, is there ever a time that you can take a Jew and work him? Yes. If he's a no good guy, if he's up to no good, you want to keep him away, keep his mind off of Averis, and just work him. As is a Tosfos. Rabbi Kiva b'achechem is saved the Kronafka. Says Rabbi Kiva, what do you mean, bohem? It says mefurish in the pasuk. U'ba'achechem b'nei Yisrael ishbachem loisir the befarach. I don't need a diuk from the word bohem and not in a Canaanite slave. Bohem in a Canaanite slave, not in a Jewish slave. It says mefurish in the pasuk. With your brethren, you should not work him hard. Rabbi Shmuel, okay, no, so it's a bam kasher Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel, I lichsid because of u'ba'achechem because now bohem. And look at the Sanya, the Rabbi Shmuel, the Rabbi Shmuel, the Rashi, the Nishmas. Since it's a chiddush in this parasha, so I'm permitted, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is permitted to write a couple extra words, even though we don't really need them. Amar of Chisda. Zenusa bebeisa, just yesterday, I guess he told it to me on purpose. A Rav here in Chicago was telling me that he knows of a Maisa right now, Leilu, of a woman who's being nichshal in these things. Destroyed her entire family. So you have to understand that it's not just the Aveira, the Gimel Chamuris that you're being over, But you're taking your own children that you work so hard and you love so much, and you destroy their life. Destroy their life. The bezoyan, the shalom bayis issues that it causes, and everything, destroying the life. So a person should think 100 times before they're over something like this. Zenusa bebeisa, and it happens, we know it happens, bisman hazeh, it happens in all the daughters. Zenusa bebeisa, ki karya l'shumshum. It's like a worm eating sesame seeds. It'll eat it from the inside, it'll eat it from the outside. The kitzur destroys a house. Kas, anger also destroys a house. Says the Gemara, very interesting. Who takes care of the house? Who does the dishes? Who takes care of the kids, sends them off to school? It's the wife, it's the woman, usually. So in that case, the woman destroys the house because now she's not taking care of business. There's a balagan in the house. Rashi says her husband's belongings go missing because she has somebody else in her life. So she starts moving things over that way. The kids it destroys the house. The husband, he's on a business trip. In those days, they used to leave in the fields all day. So he has kas, he doesn't have kas. He's mizan and not mizan. It's not as what's the word? Damaging, or whatever the word is. It's not as damaging as the woman who's in the house and takes care of the house when she's mizan. It's a very strong language. We don't care so much what the man does. Because of that. What?
Good footnote, he loses his fortune. The man loses his fortune.
Right. Who says that? The Art Scroll?
No, it's from Michelin.
He loses his fortune. I explained that. That's what I said. She starts moving stuff off. There's a piece of gold. She gives it to the other guy. There's a thing. The guy comes home. What happened? Oh yeah, we had a robbery. It's not a robbery. You're the robber. You kept the moving things. Okay, fine. I'm saying when the guy is over, there's nothing to move. She didn't bring anything in. In those days, they didn't bring things in. They didn't have a fortune. His fortune is going to be lost. Before Klal Yisrael sinned in what? In Aryeh, in Znos. There was much more ashras as Sheine, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was there. He's present with each and every individual. Hashem is right there with you. Once Klal Yisrael started sinning, you think HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to witness this? Be there, Kaviyachal, in the situation. In the Beis Medrash, there's a guy that, he pushes the button. Now I have to do everything. So when the chart that belongs 7 minutes ago is still on the screen, let me know. I'll hit it off. Okay. These guys are sleeping. He'll turn around from you and walk away. He'll leave you. Znos is a terrible thing. So in other words, again, Nachama. Znos has many effects, says the Gemara. It has an effect on your neshama, between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it has a physical effect on your family, on your fortune, on your belongings. And also, it has effect on the Sheine. The Sheine, that you should have had a Sheine, you should have had Kedusha on you, you move HaKadosh Baruch Hu away. I don't want to beat it, but listen, he got up there yesterday and they said, look at all the 700 people you just brought to Masech Sotah. Whether all 700 are on Daf Gimel or not, after yesterday's year, I don't know. Yesh Layim Badover. I'm sure 1 or 2 left, especially in Amud Beis. But look at all the schusim. The mitzvah goes in front of you. It screams out, look who's coming. Menachem is coming. Look at the hundreds of people. From the end of the Nedarim, the entire Masechtas Nazir and Masechtas Sotah. On the flip side, if a person does one Aveira, one sin, a small sin, it envelops him and it walks with him. Imagine the Bezoyim. You get up there in Shamayim and you finally see your parents. You missed them. You haven't seen them in 40 years. Get up there and a piece of gneva is stuck over here and the Lashon Hara is over here. Shalom Aleichem, Tati. And he looks at you. You're full. But there's no hiding anything over there. Every Aveira, it doesn't matter what, it's there. It's a busha. It's mamish a busha. Shenemar yilafsu orchois darkom yalu besoyu v'yivedu. Rebbe Elazar Omer kshura by kekelev. It stuck him like a dog. Most people weren't zoich to a dog, but I can tell you from personal, a dog goes wherever you go. You go to the bathroom, it stays by the door, by the bathroom, you walk out, it's there, it comes, it's stuck to you like a dog. It's a certain thing. Look at the double lashon. Yosef at Tzaddik didn't listen to Eshes Potifar, Lishka Vetzlo, to lay with her, Liyoisima to be with her. It's the same exact thing, double. Says the Gemara, no. Lishka Vetzlo Boilam Hazeh, Liyoisima Loilam Haba. When a person is mizana, there's nus. Imagine the bizarre. This big hacker, the biggest balzdaka of the city. Everybody knows him. Wow, what a bal chesed, what a talmid chacham, I don't know what. The biggest of the big. And he walks into Olam Haba, and he has 100,000 people by the Levaya. And this Goya, a Goya, is stuck to his foot, his ankle. Wherever he goes in Olam Haba, she's there. She's holding on to him for millions of years, just holding on. And everybody says, oh, look, the guy was, look at that very did. Sitting next to the Chavetz Chaim, a busha. You don't want to go even next to the Chavetz Chaim. He sees the Zainah. He sees this Aveira. It's unbelievable. The Arizal, just to say, he says that this pasuk tells us that a person that's mizana, his einish is to come to this world as a dog. That's what it means. He becomes a dog. Maybe that's the dogs that we have in the firm houses. They're like firm people, old relatives. They're in the dog. So be careful what you do in front of them. Okay, so now just going back. By the way, a guy that starts picking up big time on Daf Dalet, which is tomorrow's Daf. Then also, going back to this Eidecha. Yeah? There's an Eidecha that says, I saw the Haver with my own eyes. The husband has to believe it. Shoyva didn't. You could have a Kamachayim. This is a little tricky. And Rabbi said, I found it fascinating. What's the name of this parak? Hamekana. Dun kinui. And guess what? I'm pretty sure, I'm not a big bazikar. I'm pretty sure we're done with kinui. Pretty much. We're almost not going to talk about the idea and how it works. Kinui. We're done. The whole parak is called Hamekana. We're done. Finished. Now we're going to start the Masech and go into Adah. So when the Gemara says over here, the first testimony, we said, there's kinui, stira, avera. Sometimes it's just kinui and stira, not avera. Eidus harishayna, get rid of kinui. We're not talking about kinui now. It says the Gemara, eidus harishayna, meaning the testimony of the stira, the seclusion, the second step. First he warns her, don't seclude yourself. Then she secluded herself. And we have testimony for that. Sheine she could get out of it. How could she get out of this problem? Rabbi say how? By drinking the water, by going to Beis Hamikdash. And of course she's innocent. You need at least two people to testify. The final stage, where somebody said, I witnessed the act. Mamish. I saw it. And eventually this guy certainly should need two people. What happened there? I don't have it. Okay. We remember the pasuk. Ve'ed ein ba. Kol sheyesh ba. Remember yesterday? I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you heard it. It was too fast. Eid means two. Ein ba. You don't have two. You have how many? One. Without this pasuk, there's no way I would understand that one aid could say that this woman is also her husband forever and ever and ever. There's no way out of it. Because to answer her temporarily, you need two eidim, and she can get out of it. She'll drink the water and she'll go back to her husband. You still need two. So the step that tells me that she can never go back to her husband and she can't drink water and she loses her ksuba, certainly she needs two eidim to testify that? No, says the Torah. Only one. Why? Because she's up to no good. First, he warned her. After the warning, she secluded herself. Then comes the aid and says, not only did she seclude herself, I witnessed something. Now we have to trust that one aid, and she's done for life. So what about the Kal Chaymer for the seclusion, for the stira? If to ask her and her husband forever and ever, all you need is one aid. So certainly one should be enough on the step before that. Here it is. We had the same pasuk yesterday. And then we have another pasuk, in the Hilchas Maminis, it says Api Shnei Eidim Yokum Davar. So we have a Gzer Shabbat, Davar has the same word. Special halacha tell us that the stira must be done with two Eidim. The next step is one Eid. Says Gemara, what I need that? I have Kimatz Ba'eres Davar. Why do you have to tell me I'm learning it from this? Davar. I'm learning it from yesterday also. We had this word ba. And what do we learn from the word ba? Anybody remember? Ba v'lo b'kinui. Ba v'lo b'stira. When do you need two? On the actual tumah. To witness tumah. But not for kinui. Not for stira. Mibayalei. But in general, if a woman doesn't have, her husband didn't warn her, she didn't seclude herself. But a witness saw her doing a maisa. One of the shleish chamuras he saw. It doesn't work to have a 1-8 then. Why? Now for that I need Gzer Shabbat. Let's just jump to Rashi for a second. The last Rashi over here. It's a very important Rashi. Because Rashi says, explains it beautifully. Says the Gemara that we have the Gzer Shabbat for another thing. In other words, another case. Not the case of Sotah where the husband suspected her, but a case of 1-8 showing up and saying, hey, I saw such and such. Says Rashi, it's like a chasuri mechsur. It's like we had something missing. That one. And then the Mishnah means to say, a regular woman, not a Sotah, the husband never suspected her, he never warned her not to seclude herself. And 1-8 said, and I saw her, mamish, being over. What's the halacha? He's not believed. But why in our case is 1-8 believed? The Reglayim L'Davar. Remember, we finished off in the Sechtas Nazir with the Reglayim L'Davar, a bunch of Mishnayos, Reglayim L'Davar. When you have something solid to stand on, when it makes absolute logic sense, that what? He warned her. He thought something's up. She didn't listen to him. She went into a private place with the guy. And then the Echad saw it. Oh, that's enough. That's Reglayim L'Davar. And just finally, one more line. Tanur Rabbanan. And we explained this before. Ezu Eidus Rishayna. Rishayna should mean, L'chayra, if you and I were learning this Gemara, what does the first testimony mean? What's step 1? Kinui. No. Ezu Eidus Rishayna. Ezu Eidus Stira. That's step 2. What we call the second shlav, the second step. Eidus Achrayna. And what's the final step? Ezu Eidus Tumah. That's when somebody physically saw the act. Westside, have a wonderful week. And for you guys, have a wonderful Shabbos. Be'ezer Hashem, Motzi Shabbos here in Hatzlacha, 9:30 p.m. Hopefully we'll be ready by then. Yishkoyim for coming out so late before Shabbos. Have a great day, a great Shabbos. Yishkoyim.